I'll stand in for the audience and also for myself, and not to throw my audience under the bus, but why don't the banks, what are the incentives or the circumstances that prevent them from taking a certain percentage of their assets and allocating it to something like a Universa so that they are less at risk in that way?
They just don't have to do that. They could just avoid some trades. But let me explain to you the dynamics of the bonus system. And this led to my book, Skin in the Game, later on. If you have skin in the game, you're going to worry about blow up because it's your money. If you don't have skin in the game, you're CEO of a company or you're a fund manager, and any kind of financial venture, what is your incentive? Is to print good numbers, because you don't pay for the downside. So you print good numbers, you collect money on the profits.
Annual bonus.
So this I call the generalized Bob Rubin trade, generalized Robert Rubin trade. He made $100 million at Citibank or Citicorp, Citi something. Over 10 years, about 10 years, he collected $100 million in compensation. The bank was insolvent in 2008, near insolvent, if it weren't for the taxpayer. And it was the last minute. All you had to do is, write an apology letter. We didn't see these events. It was a Black Swan named after a book by a very, very stubborn man. Okay, so something like that. So that's all you have to do is say, I'm sorry, right? You keep your bonus.
Yeah, I'm in
you
the
don't
wrong
show
business.
up to work. So this you can generalize. It's the same thing with supply chain. With a supply chain, a lot of firms concentrated everything on one supplier instead of being diversified. What did that lead to, right? Okay, better bottom line, but what I call pseudo-efficiency, because they're short that option. And it so happened that if their supplier is in Wuhan, guess what? You got a problem, all right?
You got problems.
But that problem doesn't show in the numbers. It shows after it happens.
It's the dark side of optimization.
Exactly, what I call pseudo-optimization. Like if you drive a Ferrari 500 kilometers per hour, you're not going to get there faster than if you ride a bicycle. Because all the time you're never going to get there. One thing about our previous conversation, when you say the banking sector, the banking sector is very safe for one reason. It's a utility. With high-paid bankers living around here, you see, have big Soho lofts, $10 million Soho lofts, basically the utility. Because they don't let it go under. It's when it's not the one you got to worry about. It's the saving it, again, that you have to worry about. The effect of saving it. Like we saved it in 2008 was what? It was government debt. And it exploded. And then again, in 2020, they bought so much commercial paper, so many things. Again, all these things aimed at saving the financial system, bank-wise, have spillover effects. But they're going to save the bank system because you cannot operate without it. Plus, another thing has happened is that banks used to take a lot of risk. Since 2008, risk has migrated from banks to hedge funds. Now, it's less concentrated, but it still can be concentrated.
In what way can that be concentrated?
In other words, he has a friend who has a big fund that's larger than a lot of banks.
Yeah.
You see?
You mean Citadel?
I'm not mentioning names, right? So you have a lot of big hedge funds, and but I guess they can be diversified. Hedge funds have skin in the game. In other words, the owner of the hedge fund has money in it, unlike a bank where you just have the upside, not the downside.
Of course, long-term capital management is the counterexample.
No,
they had skin in the game.
Okay, so there's two things.
Became very systemic.
No, it is. People, the skin in the game is a disincentive, of course, but it also, skin in the game is a filter. You see? So where are the people from? Is anybody from long-term capital management still around?
Last I heard, John Merriweather was 10 years ago trying to start a hedge fund. But
there you go. So,
they're gone.
So if you can't recover, the skin in the game has fallen effect. The reason you don't see too many crazy drivers is because they're dead. Because you inflict risk on others, but you experience the same risk. So you tend to exit the pool.